I asked myself the following question. I'm going to talk to Papua New Guinea students, and not any kind of students, university students. That means that indeed you are spending a lot of your effort, not only yours, but the one probably of your entire family, to encapsulate the hope of your family, perhaps more than your family, and perhaps you have in your life hope to make your country better. Am I right? So I thought, purpose-driven life in service is about leadership. But not any form of leadership. This is the way I understand the sentence. As I said, I'm not very intelligent, so I'm not sure I understood very well the sentence. But in service, that means that indeed, in service means that indeed, it's not any form of leadership, but it's good leadership. I mean leadership that is oriented to be beneficial not to me, the leader, or not to any one of you as future leader, but the good for other people. So I decided to put immediately a limitation to my exercise, and I quoted a very important philosopher. As you can see, stop talking about what the good man is like, and just be one. So that's a little bit of challenging things, because immediately after I introduce my talk, I say I cannot introduce my talk because I should shut my mouth right away and try to be a good man myself. Yes? So you lost me on the way. We said, shall I make it a little bit differently? If devoting our life to the service of others, that's the purpose of my talk tonight, yes? And if I say, stop talking about what the good man is like and just be one, that's a contradiction. Because I should stop talking and I should act. Yes? No. Juga tiga protokol orang yang habis. Kita akan memiliki protokol kesini, kan? Yes, kita memiliki protokol kesini. If suppose we like Kamambut lama, this both you been talk to the year, everyone we must talk, okay. One plagut lama and one takay man also, we must pass the mouse na acting also through good lama. And number two, we must active. Passive mouse na active or good lama. But it is not exactly what it is expected from me tonight. So I decided to do a few things. First, a few reflections. In the introduction, I said, I consider that the title of the conference would be about leadership and about good leadership. Leadership that could be useful to everyone, and not only to the leaders. As you probably know, it's the way I see it. In Papua New Guinea, there's a lot of leaders, those who represent you at the parliament, those who represent you at the, I don't know, I hope you are not, and I hope I'm able to work. So I know I have a little idea to make it work. My first thing is that whoever we are in this room, most of you are Papua New Guineans. I'm not, probably realize that, but I love this country and I've been here for quite a long time. I've spent perhaps a longer period of time in this country than yourself. Yes, about 20 years now, so of your sentence. Who do you believe you are? It's not because you have a degree in a university that you are better than the others. It just means that you have greater responsibilities. And one of the great responsibilities that we all have having degrees is to make sure that we don't create discriminations towards others. It's very important. Don't think that because you learn that at school, that puts you in a better situation to judge other problems. that just puts you in a situation in which you have to consult everyone before taking a decision. So you don't impose your views because you believe that you have a degree and therefore that makes you more intelligent than the others. No, no, no. It's not a diploma that will give you intelligence. And certainly not wisdom. I know a lot of people who are very wise and they don't speak a word of English, they don't know how to read and write, and I can tell you they are more than wise. And I know a lot of people having big, big degrees and they are very unwise and very stupid. So be careful, sorry. And I say that because I have quite a few degrees and I know that it doesn't give me any guarantee that I'm taking the right decisions. In the rest of your life, in your own country, use your capacity not to put yourself up, but to put the other up. Our degree can give us a certain latitude and a certain knowledge to identify the right people and the talented people. We all know that in Papua New Guinea, access to education is uneven. And I believe that many of you, as though all of you struggled a lot to be where you are, some of you struggled less than the others. Perhaps many of you have parents who are teachers. Therefore, indeed, after school, they were there to support you. Many of you grew up in towns, and you all know, you are all Papua New Guineans, I believe here, that indeed, if you grew up in a small village, where there is a small or a limited number of people having a grade 12, for example, it's very unlikely that in that village there will be any student or any young people who will be sent to the universities. I'm working at the moment in part of the Gulf province that is next to the highlands, next to Chimbu, next to Eastern Islands. And this part of Papua New Guinea is one of the parts of Papua New Guinea where the level of literacy, whatever it means, I mean the level of formal education is one of the weakest in Papua New Guinea. None of these people have ever been in a university, and it's very unlikely that in the next generation they will send any of their children to the university. That's very unfair. Why do I say that? It's just to say to you that you are very privileged, and don't confiscate your privilege to yourself. Make sure that indeed the chance that you have to sit here, to have a great access to education, is also at the service of others. So don't try to no can sit down and multiple something, no guys. Kelly is computing, and indeed one of your great responsibilities is precisely to put the balance in the other side. That means indeed identify the people who are really hardworking, who are really knowledgeable. Consider that your relatives or people perhaps far away from you can be extremely talented even if the post-colonial system does not acknowledge their own condition. As I say, the people of the other Purari I was talking about, they don't have grade 12, they don't have even grade 8. They are school drop-off, as we say, but they are really talented. And when I walk with them in the forest and I say, oh, you have you studied this bloody warrior, every plant I show, they can tell a story. Can you do the same? If we walk around, can you give me the name of all the plants in the neighborhood? So it's why I say be careful. Knowledge is not exactly or not necessarily where it is. Live today as if it was the last one. That means that indeed we have no control about time. And then there is something very last one. Does it mean that we are going to party? Does it mean that we are going to cry because it's the last day? Or is it as if we were going to live naturally today? Because there's nothing we can do. Stoicism is about to live today and to accept that we have limited control over things. It's why I said one man walking crangi lo you. What can you do in the end? Marcus Aurelius always referred to the universe. He said, who are you compared to the universe? Therefore we should act not in function of our immediate interest and no, that's the wrong and that's a very unwise answer because it's too reactive. We have to be in control and in the end, spet why I'm living something. When a man I'm walking around the kilometers, me no one plus something. No go tomorrow by me lose thinking, or say whenever me go cross today because we're really something, wait tomorrow by me lose thinking. Stoicism is about accepting the things as they come and to be largely in control, to avoid to get cross or whatsoever. Okay, become one big name. We all want one name lo mi plan by parat and straight on nogat. But this person was the first amongst the first, the Emperor of Rome. At his time, there was no name who could beat him, and he said about himself, soon you'll be ashes or bones. He's not saying that to his enemies, he's saying that to himself, basically. Mi che si la name, ça so true e mi non saveis. Close to time when mi va mi pipia something, but me last. Their name at most. Now everybody know my name and my face is on all the coins circulating in my immense empire. But that's all this planet blomi and one platica something straight. The things we want in life are empty. Stale, trivial. Also now you need buy clothes, mobile phone, look some dream man lo when you try la car or big something try la house. Now man and talk also all we want in life is like something nothing. It has no meaning. Okay, now we are about to agree on the meaning of that sentence. Yes? No, you know what? I'm not meaning that indeed you have to agree with him, but about the meaning of the sentence. Yes? We all clear? Don't you think it's a very radical statement? It's very radical, very blunt. Instead of saying, be careful, things that we believe important are perhaps not that important, he doesn't say that at all. He says, whatever we believe in has actually no importance at all. So it's a very radical statement. Do you think that could be an inspiration, and to which extent? Who would like to comment on that sentence, even if it is to disagree? Don't be afraid, we are here really to discuss fortune. It warns you about the danger of good fortune, good luck change and good life, but it foremost gives you the possibility to philosophically stand against everything that happens and that harms you. Or say, gossips. One plaman talk no good to you. You say when I this plaman or this plameri and more rabbisim you. Hard to long addressing. Hard to but you pil him hard and straight. That man and talk no good to you. You pil him hard low and you no talk no good straight and you say when I more rabbisim name blow you. That particular philosophy is very good to say, in the end, is it so important? Or say, topisim domi one plaman spet boilo you. True, tamen save kama can you save pilim hard, straight. Man and talk no good thing you or talk backside lo you or kind of say, but you save pilim hard. But in reality, if you, when I'm young, ulimwin can no say na talk. Straight here, I know we plus something to mass. Maski, you know can vary lo this plus something, kind of say. So it's a philosophy of life that teaches you to be strong. Okay, me no like to talk plenty lo this plus. Plenty This one is a little bit difficult to understand, and I'm not too sure I understand that sentence very well. I will read it. In your actions, don't procrastinate. In your conversation, don't confuse. In your thoughts, don't wander. In your soul, don't be passive or aggressive. In your life, don't be all about businesses. That's very typical of Stoicism. It's a series of negation. It's a series of expressions that says, be in control. Don't be too spontaneous. Be calm and think twice before acting without taking too long. This is the way I understand. But there are parts of this sentence that I don't understand. Now, to avoid to put you too much on pressure, we'll proceed the opposite. Instead of saying I understand that, who would like to say I'm not too sure about that part of the sentence? Words in the previous slide. Good. There is something to do with perhaps Christian message. No? How can we relate a Christian life to a Stoican life? That's a complex question. You understand where Marcus Aurelius wants to guide us, yes? To be in control, to put some relativity on our emotions and on the bad things or good things that happen to us. That's his message about time. But within his message about time, he says, if it is in our power, which is a very sensitive and very interesting thing, we shall be good. And indeed, we had a very good definition about what is to be good. If I selected all these sentences, it's that if we want to give a meaning to our life, and if we want to devote our life to the service of others, we shall do that on very strong philosophical or religious foundations. One of which, this is the way I understand it, is that indeed, for future leaders, we shall not pay attention or we shall not put too much attention to material valuables and material possessions. And we shall be very cautious about it, as it is very unnecessary to live a free life and to live a life in which we can really be intellectually alert. We should renounce, basically, to many things we believe are important, as perhaps they are not that important. This is the way I understand the sequence when Diogenes renounced even to his little cup, that was his sole possession. The other thing is also the philosophy of Diogenes marks two poles. On one pole, philosophical exercise, intellectual activity, and wisdom. And on the other side, power, political power. And interestingly, Alexander is as philosopher as Diogenes. Because in the end, it's Alexander who talks the last. And what Alexander says, if I were not myself, so the most important emperor of my time, I would be the poorest man on earth. So indeed, it's quite interesting. This is the way I understand it, and perhaps you may understand it differently. Political power is important, but it is not more important than a good life. That means a life where indeed values are put at their right place. That means a life where indeed things that have no value compared to eternity, material possessions, are taken for what they are, little things. You understand what I mean? Perhaps I was too complicated. But perhaps I hope these kind of little comments, you can keep them in the corner of your mind and think wisely. Basically, philosophy is not something you need to comply with or to obey, but things that will be used as guidelines, as moments of reflection. So, also mi kovek lo topis indicate. Mi no sabe, logo tu plateli mwananja display story of tonight and boring, straight or complicated too much, or no sabe. Sorry, suppose you feeling one and your board or it's too complicated. But what I want to share with you is these simple things. First, indeed, take the time to think about what you are doing, the ethics of your action, and think that in the end, what we are longing for are perhaps not that important. And indeed, conduct yourself with your wisdom, which is the first step to be good to yourself and to others. Nem te hasonlít Dr. Blooming.